Say you don't like it, no. No, you don't like it. Let me read out the thing. Let me read. Say you don't like it, no. No, you don't like it. Let me rewrite the thing. Let me read. Say you don't like it, no. No, you don't like it. Let me rewrite the thing. Let me read. Say you don't like it. No, you don't like it, no. Let me rewrite the thing. Let me in.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Rewriters Room. I am holding it down for the John Cena of journalism, the Brock Lesnar of broadcasting, the Roman Reigns of rhetoric, and the Paul Heyman of podcasting. Armand, my brother, is not with us today, but I am with you, and I brought my brother with you. Who am I that you say? Oh, it's CC, the best rapper and producer of whole wide world, God body, because I consume healthy products and do towel curls, benevolent servant to the earth and philanthropist. And every phrase I say is a gem like amethyst. You could put any nigga next to me. Dope ass women going whisper in each other's ear like, who the fuck, man, is this? I may talk a lot, only got one thing to say, love yourself. Keep going. Give all you can. You are the world. Take care of your body, your people, and you land. Where my nigga Jan?
Going on? At Grandpa Chan reporting live from the mid card, mid card mafia stand up. This week I'm down at the PC. Well, I guess for as long as it's gonna be at the PC, because I guess they moved to Vegas. And I'm just here to ring the bell. Like once we rung the bell for Gunther, our mid card messiah, Obi Femi is coming. It's not there yet. It's not there yet. He's getting there. Like he's still building his moves. Like it's not like he like is messing stuff up. You just can tell like he doesn't have a bunch of stuff in his bag yet. But like his presence and like they've trotted out a couple of these big guys recently. Not to say any of them are cooked, but like Omos, Bronson, like they're bringing a lot of big dudes through. But like Oba to me has the most personality, and I'm just so excited to see like what happens when he gets like a bigger stage because he like his promos are good. The walk to the ring is cool. The entrance is cool. They somehow, I mean, shout out to Apollo, but they redid the African thing, but a little less heavy handed, and it's much more palatable. Like it's much more palatable just having him be at Nigerian or whatever. But I just think we need to raise the flag and just say Oba is coming. It's definitely it's a question of to me when it comes, but I feel like there's going to be a big Oba push. Might be NXT title, might be Royal Rumble type guy, but I just feel like they don't have currently like no, they have Gunther, but to me, Gunther is just so much more because he just can just move so crazy. They don't have their big monster physical heel. They have Roman, they got Cody, they got Braun, like they got so much stuff.
You know
But
what it is?
what's up?
They don't have a replacement for Bobby.
Yeah, or
That's
even
the
Brock. They don't have
yeah.
that.
They don't. Yeah, you need that space. Yeah, no. In some cultures,
In my culture.
that is so crazy. Yeah, no. I think you 100% on that. Like I watched him promo, also watched him in the ring. Like not just the move itself, but just like his personality in the ring. And I'm looking at it and I'm like, yeah, to your point, what they tried to do with Apollo, what they tried to do with Omos, um, this they finally got it right this time. He's the right size and build. He's literally right in between the two of them.
Exactly. Yep.
Personality wise, I think he has the same sort of like kind of swag that you see in Omos, but like the more of like the intensity that you would see from an Apollo Crews and the energy that you would see, like the way he explodes. So it's kind of weird. It's kind of weird how they try to both with them and how they get it right with him and how he's like the perfect middle for
Right in the
for when you
middle.
look at both of them. He's not too corny. He's corny enough that he's getting off the gimmick, but he's
Yeah.
not like he's so cool that he can keep it from being too corny, but corny enough and playing it into it enough they can get off the gimmick. I love it. I really, really
Yeah.
love
Like once last I say is like to the corny point, because once they decide to flip him face,
it. Mm-hmm.
it'll work because he hasn't been like, oh, I'm a demon from Africa and I'm here to kill. It's just like, no, I'm
Yeah.
African and I'm dominant. But then once you get like the little kids into it and like, yeah, he'll be such a good face because like there is a level of almost like superhero-is to it, like larger than likeness. So just,
Oh
shout out
yeah.
to Oba.
Oh man, I can't wait for that. I'm just thinking about like all the matches he's gonna do. Money in the Bank, Elimination Chamber. Oh my god,
Shout out
it's
to
gonna be
NIL
fire.
too, man. I know a
Woo.
lot of y'all talk about them athletes in spandex. Y'all saying they not real wrestlers, but I don't know.
Notice how all y'all talking about it, not the ones getting checks. Damn, that's crazy.
I don't know. I don't know. I see a lot of them NCAA photos up, and then I see my favorite wrestler right next to it. That's all I'm saying.
Mm,
Recently, that's been happening a lot.
Just say you need help with your FAFSA, man. You don't got hate.
So, oh,
Uh,
there's no need to hate, bro. It's enough for everybody.
Speaking of hate, we are getting back to the story of the man that a lot of people love to love and even more people love to hate. That would be Roman Reigns and his last reign as Universal Champion. So in our last episode, we were talking a little bit about two legends, Daniel Bryan and Edge, who most recently in our series were the latest to take the pins. And the latest is sort of how do we say fall victim to Roman Reigns. But this time, following that up, the story with Roman and Edge and Daniel Bryan, as he moves on, he gets back to where this all really started, family. And so this episode will be focused on Jimmy Uso and Jimmy Uso's um struggle with the bloodline that would eventually turn into him, as we all know, joining the bloodline and also starting the Usos' reign of the longest reigning tag team champions. So for our rewrite today, I am going to go ahead and kick us off. So when I was looking back at this time, again, like we've mentioned a couple times on the pod or whatever, as they built up the roster over the couple of the years, it helped the episodes, and not only that, but the story around the bloodline. Because when you look at the story around the bloodline, not just included like Jimmy J, Roman, and Paul, but the people involved, it's like, oh, okay, like they was fucking with Cesaro around this time. What I'm looking at the rewrite, and I'm like, all right, but who else can I put in that position? Because it's really just like Seth or blah blah. I'm like, okay, all right. So when I looked at it, I'm like, okay, you know what? I got an idea about this. Let me look at what's going on with just the bloodline. And this is kind of actually, I'm gonna rewrite this from the way I actually wanted this story to go. So we, Roman gets Daniel Bryan the fuck out of here. It's May 7th. Jimmy Uso's back. You know what I'm saying? And my version, this is how I wanted it to go. Considering how Jimmy was sent off with everything that happened, when Jimmy comes back, he's immediately on shit. He's like, "No, I want to challenge you for the tribal chief." It's straight like, I don't see you at all. Like, I don't respect none of this or whatever. It's how like wrestlers would be like, you know what? You were like champion 3 times. I respect that, blah, blah. He's like, no, I don't see none of that. This
No
whole
Kevin
tribal.
Owens. No, none
Yeah.
of that. Like, no, I'm not good enough.
Yeah, none of that. No, not at all. He's not even considering where he is. This is not him saying I'm so good I should be that. This is just him not respecting Roman on that level, sort of thing. He telling him that he weak, he not really about family. He said, well, you need help to get to the top, that you went outside the family to Paul. Like, yeah, he a friend, whatever, but you ain't really go to family. I only ever been about and been with my family. I was either wrestling my brother or I was wrestling my brother and you. And it ain't been nothing else or whatever. And Jay's kind of like, damn, you right, or whatever. Roman can kind of see that. So like Roman, like, all right, we need to get this train back on track. So basically at this point, Jimmy is like sort of a threat to what Roman is like built so far. But also Roman realizes that because Jimmy plays such like a huge role in their family, that in order to keep Jay, he has to appease Jimmy to like some point. But at the same time, he like, I'm gonna tribal chief, so I'm gonna stun on you at the same time. So like, you know, we get to next week. Jimmy's still refusing to acknowledge Roman Reigns. And then Roman's telling him, he's like, listen, if you're so good, if you're so much better than me or whatever, if I'm not all that or whatever, then you can do what I do easy or whatever. Kind of like what he said in the original promo. But he's going to say, like, you can beat Cesaro. But this time, like, instead of just going right for it, Jimmy's going to be like, again, he's challenging Roman in what he's doing. He's calling him weak. He's saying he's not just weak as a champion, but how he moves as a champion is also weak. So he's catching him on things that people would normally not catch him on. And Jimmy's like, listen, I see you just trying to use me like you was just trying to use my brother. I'm not about to soften up your opponent for you ahead of Backlash. That's what you're just trying to do. You're not trying to really like see if I'm better than you. you about to face this dude and you just want me to potentially get him a little bit weaker so you can face him or whatever. And Jay is like upset or whatever. And Roman is basically trying to like no sell that he got caught in this or whatever by telling Jimmy that, hey, no, I really want you to succeed or whatever. And Jimmy not believing that shit. Jay not really believing that shit either or whatever. So then Roman's like, look, Jimmy, look at me or whatever, right? And he's like, if you beat Cesaro, then Paul has to do is have a quick conversation with Pierce. It doesn't even need to be face to face. It could be a text message because then he can tell him that the guy who beat the number one contender should be the number one contender himself or whatever, right? And Jimmy thinks about that and he's like, oh shit, you know what? This could be my path to the championship. That's a good point. So then now Jimmy's like, damn, like you kind of right. So now Jimmy's like, you know, I hate to give you any kind of credit at all, but I will say you right about that. If going through Cesaro is the quickest way that I could put you on the ground, then I'm gonna take him out tonight, easy or whatever. So they set the match. Jimmy has the match with Cesaro. Roman interferes like he does before, and then Jimmy is just so mad that he takes out Cesaro or whatever. He's about to go take out Roman or whatever. So it's weird because like by Roman interfering, Jimmy gets so mad that he didn't win and be able to get the opportunity to face Roman, regardless of how the match goes. Afterward, with him and Cesaro, that he took it out on Cesaro. So he ended up beating up Cesaro just like Roman wanted him to anyway, or whatever. But he's about to go beat Roman up. He's literally about to go super kick him, and Jay catches his foot or whatever, and like kind of like pushes it down, and like Jimmy just like stomps off like mad, and then like Jay and Roman just continue to beat up Cesaro while Jimmy's just kind of like looking from the ramp, and that's how the show goes off. We get the backlash. Roman, cleans up Cesaro pretty easily or whatever. We still get what happens with the Usos going for the tag titles or whatever, and they don't really get it. And then like Roman come through is just like destroy the Mysterios or whatever. And then at this point, Jimmy's starting to see Roman as being helpful because then he starts to look back and Jay's even telling him, he's like, look, man, you said you wanted to come in and be the man. Roman literally put you in position to get that opportunity to be the man. Now, did he interfere with your? And then like Jimmy is like, no, but he interfered with the match though. So what did he really do or whatever? And he's like, okay, cool. But then like me and you, we got our thing going on, and the whole thing with the tag titles wasn't going well. And you see Roman just stood up for us when it comes to the Mysterios or whatever. He basically Jay basically telling him like without saying it out loud that Roman is trying to work on help us with that. If you see what I mean or whatever. And Jimmy just like, I mean, yeah, like I see that, but at the same time, blah 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 blah. He just like, yeah, I don't even know what to think or whatever, right? So then we get to the point where Roman does the whole Jay and Jimmy confusing thing or whatever. At this point, Jimmy's like half in, half out. He's just like, look, just like only because my brother is here, the only reason why I'm here. So then, like, when Roman and Jimmy like had a little argument and Jay like walk out, at that point, Jimmy is like, yo, I don't really have a reason to be here. But at the same time, this dude has been helpful to me. And so Jimmy starts to have like his own selfish reasons for being in the bloodline, literally outside of family, his own ambitious type reasons. So then he starts to stick close to Roman, literally for his own ambition. And ironically, the same reason why he wanted to get Jay out or whatever, which is like, no, we only need us. Jimmy starts to move away from that and looking to only go out for Jimmy because he's like, well, shit, if I'm with Roman or whatever, I did get an opportunity to be number one contender for a WWE championship match. That's never happened to me before. I am being like put in position to like go get these tag titles again. Whereas before, like I would just have to have a match and hope that the GM put me in. So fuck it, I might fuck with him or whatever. And then when Jay come back or whatever, Jimmy is like happy as hell to see him. But Jay's kind of like questioning, being like, hey, like you just gonna roll him while I was gone or whatever. And he was like, I was just trying to make sure the seat was warm for you. So like that also starts something between them to where they on team together, but they don't necessarily know if they could trust why each other is both fucking with Roman. Now they got like two different reasons for it or whatever. So like they end up winning the tag titles at Money in the Bank. But the way that this all comes about is Jimmy jumps in for his own reason, and Jay's kind of questioning that. And Jimmy's like, nah, but we still cool, bro. So they starting off, they tag championship splintered at the start. That's my whole rewrite.
Nah, it's so funny because we have very different rewrites, like script wise. But the two things we both agreed on was like, yeah, we gotta get DB and Cesaro out of here.
Oh, get these niggas the fuck. What
It's just about Jimmy J and Roman, bro. Like
the
this is
fuck?
I don't need this back and forth. Like,
Why am I
y'all
wasting
mentioned,
time on that shit?
yeah, looking back on this, and I remember at the time being like, y'all want the world for Cesaro, and I don't know how to break it to you, but it's never gonna happen. Especially like we talked about last episode. This is I feel like once the Stack'em pin happened, you one realize, oh, he's not dropping this belt off any besides WrestleMania anyway. Like it's never happening. And two, he definitely not dropping it to Cesaro. And so you're just like, okay, some of these matches feel almost like, oh, this is not going to happen. And so I kind of used them as plot devices. So basically, here we go. So this post WrestleMania, Daniel Bryan comes out. He gets the crowd going. You know, he's about to give us a classic yes movement, like Edge guy in my way. Because at this point, Edge is not, on TV. He's like, I'm here to like, I should have a match with Roman, and he's like getting worked up, and he's almost at a crescendo, and Roman comes out, and he's like, no, 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 because you got to remember, in my story, Roman is on tilt. Roman has just essentially single-handedly beaten Daniel Bryan and Edge, and also he has like been made paranoid by Paul Heyman kind of scheming behind his back to the point where he's like now being more proactive with stuff. That's a big thing of this. So he comes out, he's like, no, 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 no. You're done. I know what you're about to do. You're going to hear get these people riled up, get you a match. I'm not even let you do that because you have something I want. You know what I can say I did that a lot of people didn't say they could do? I'm going to say I retired Daniel Bryan. So if you want this match, you got to put that career on the line. And he specifically says, I'm going to do what Randy couldn't do. I'm going to do what Batista couldn't do. I'm going to do what Hunter couldn't do. I'm going to end the yes movement.
Not specifically naming. And
Yeah.
then no, because I can see what you're doing, because what that could do, motherfucker.
That's foreshadowing, not today's episode, but that's just some foreshadowing. He's like, I'm gonna do what they could, I'm retiring. And DB at first is nervous in the back, and this is over the next subsequent SmackDowns. He's kind of nervous, but he's visited by some of his former allies. He's visited by Kane. He's visited by Cesaro. And then off screen, he is visited by someone you can't see, but it's clearly an imposing figure. And we're like, okay, we have our match. Daniel Bryan versus Roman Reigns. One thing I did forget about, and this is just kind of an aside, is like because this was Thunderdome era, we got a lot of Roman SmackDown matches, a lot of Roman SmackDown title matches that we didn't get this past year once they brought crowds back. Like
There wasn't Tez a TV
yeah,
match?
he had DB, he had like Ray, like a lot. That Hell in a Cell match was on SmackDown with Ray. Like that was just a regular. I mean, SmackDown for Hell in a Cell, but like it was on free TV. But anyway, this is on SmackDown, and so typical, bloodline chicanery. Jay comes out, messes up the match. But oh my God, who is that? Is that Eric Rowan? Eric Rowan comes out, face choke slams Jay, and so Roman's like, "Fuck, I might lose this one." No, who is that in that black hoodie? It's not paranoia. It's the Usos. That's Jimmy Uso. He's back, ladies and gentlemen. Takes out Eric Roman. This causes a distraction. Roman wins. So next SmackDown, this is also peak like Roman Reigns backstage kicking it with the Bloodline era too. Like it gets better with Sammy, but I feel like this is when that's not really a peak. This is the beginning, I'll say, because like you really now that I think about it, once the Bloodline started falling apart, you didn't get to see them in the back like taking meetings and kicking it. So this is like one of those scenes. And so Jimmy's like, yeah, talking to Jay, he's like, yeah, everything's smooth. Roman said that like if I come back and help him get up DB out of here, he'll get us a tag title shot. So we up. So he's like, so what's good, Roman? Like, we getting a shot tonight? Like, what's up? You think a pay-per-view? And Roman's like, yeah, I'll get to it. Like, I got stuff to think about. And Jimmy's like, what do you mean you'll think about it? You said we get a title shot. Like, when is it happening? And Roman's like, I mean, like, I got stuff to worry about. Like, there's Cesaro might have a match tonight. He might be number contender. Like, Paul handles that kind of stuff. I'll get to it. And Jimmy's like, nah, you always just be this kid. You always think you would just play us and blow us off. And like, that ain't cool. So like, be for real. Like, be a leader. Go talk to peers. And Roman's like, hey, don't tell me what to do. Like, get real to your sister. Don't tell me what to do. He's like, but because you're my family and I love you, I'll go talk to peers. Just make sure Jay is ready for his match against Cesaro. If Cesaro wins, he becomes a more contender. Not trying to deal with that. Jimmy's like, cool, no problem. So, day goes on. And right before the match, Jimmy's like, hey, I'm about to go. He like sees Pierce say, I'm about to go chop up with him 1 second. Jay, I'll meet you by the entrance. He's like, Jay, so Adam, so what did like, Roman say? Like, when you think we gonna get our tag title shot? And Pierce is like, what? He's like, "What? Will you talk to Roman about our title shot? Like, when's it gonna be?" He's like, "I ain't talked to Roman. Like, you guys aren't even in line for a title shot. You just came back." Jimmy snaps, like loses his shit. He's like, "What, Roman?" Storms into a meeting with him and Paul, and then Roman, it like jumps Roman. Roman quickly overpowers him and like beats him to the point of like he can't like move, like not like injured, but just like throws him in the locker room, like real good backstage heavy brawl, which prevents him from coming out and helping Jay, which then leads to Cesaro beating Jay and becoming #1 contender. So now Roman's doubly pissed because he's like, I was gonna get you your shot. Like, you didn't wait your time. You don't tell me what to do. Da, 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 da. And so he's like, whatever, Cesaro match, just be there. That's your job. You know you're supposed to be there. So our Cesaro match rolls around. Jimmy comes out to help Roman, and you can hear him because it's Thunderdome. You can hear him. He's like, "We getting our match? Is our match set up?" Roman's like, "Man, I'm working on it. Like, I don't have it yet." And Jimmy's like, "I'm not helping you." And like falls back, and Jay's like, "Come on, bro. Like, don't do this. Like, we're supposed to be helping." And Jimmy's like, "Nah, but like he lied to us. Like, I know what he's done to you, and like you may feel like you have to do this, but like I don't have to do this. I'm equal to him. You know, like I don't have to treat it this way." And you see Roman kind of look at him like, okay. Like I see what the game, I see the campaign. And so Roman beats Cesaro with Jimmy's help. But the next SmackDown, um, Jay Roman goes, you know what? I made the mistake last time of trying to talk to Jay. I'm not doing that this time. Jimmy, here comes that ass whooping I was telling you about. And so he says, me, you, tribal combat, WrestleMania backlash. You lose, you fall in line. I don't want to hear about it ever again. And Jimmy's like, all right, bet. If I win, I get the title. If I lose, I'm still in the bloodline. And then he's like, all right, so Jay, like, what you gonna do? Like, whose corner you gonna be in? And you know, Jay, he real emotional. He going back and forth all SmackDown, kind of walking, like, what am I gonna do? Like, I don't know. Da, 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 da. And then finally, the end of SmackDown, they're back in the backstage having a meeting. And you know, Jay's like, you know, I thought about it, and I think it's just best for me to like sit this one out, guys. I can't pick between my tribal chief and my brother. And Roman's like, you thought about it. Jay, you have no choice in this. You need to have a front row seat for this. You need to see exactly what I'm preparing to do to protect this family and this title. You special guest referee. You gonna count one, two, three when I put your brother down. And she's like, no, why would you do that? He said, again, it's not a question. Just be ready. WrestleMania Backlash. So, WrestleMania Backlash, Tribal Combat, Jimmy versus Roman, Jay Uso as special guest referee. No rules. And also another side note, I wanted to introduce Tribal Combat now because I feel like they clearly just thought of it later in the story, but it's like you obviously if that was something that was really existing, you would have been had one with Jimmy or Jay. It didn't make sense to
Yeah.
wait till like
That was
years
my
later.
exact thought. That's exactly why I had it to be the same way. I'm like, no, bro, do the shit that y'all do now.
Good now for the thing of hindsight. And so, you know, Jimmy comes out. Clearly, he knows like I'm not gonna be able to beat Roman straight up. So he has like a bunch of weapons. So his early offense is just a melee, kendo sticks, chairs, chains, tables. Again, tribal combat. We're trying to really emphasize that this is just a brawl. Really, it's not like much of a match. But eventually, you know, Roman gets the upper hand, spears Jimmy. He goes over there to pin him. And Jay like can't do it. Like he's like, I can't do it. I was like, what? He's like, I can't do it. I can't count. You know I can. And you know how Jay get real like anime. I can't do it. And it's like, I ain't asked you to do it. You gotta do it. And so eventually he like pushes Jay, and you see Jay like buck up like he's gonna hit him back, and Roman just looks at him. And you see Jay in that moment just crumble, and you know, like, oh, he's got him. Like he like has got him mentally so whipped. And so Jimmy uses that distraction, gets the upper hand on Roman once again, and like he's trying to like choke him out with this chain. And Jay's like, stop, bro, you gotta stop. And he's like, no, in the match, like, stop, you gotta stop. And then eventually Jay wheels up, super kicks Jimmy, falls back. And then Roman gets up. And at this moment, like Roman, he looks at Jay like he's about to like hit him. And then he looks at Jimmy like he's about to hit him. And he's like, and he nods, he's like, I know what needs to happen. And then you see him like motion to Paul, and Paul comes up with a microphone. And he's like, gets it to Roman, and Roman's like, I know you're not going to count. You clearly don't have the strength in you to do what needs to be done. That's why you're not the tribal chief. So you know what? Jimmy's just going to acknowledge me. And so Roman puts Jimmy in the guillotine and just chokes him out. And he's like, say it. He just keeps like, say it. Say it. And Paul's like, got the mic to Jim, and he's like, say it. Say it. And then eventually Jimmy's just like, I acknowledge you. And then Roman lets him go. And he gets up and he's like, that's all I was. And so then he's leaving, and Jay's like kind of following him. And he looks at Jay and he's like, get your brother. He's just one of us now. And so Jay has to carry Jimmy back up the ramp. Next SmackDown, opening match, Usos, Mysterios, tag titles. You see Roman in the back, he's like, told you I was going to get you your match. All you got to do is fall in line. And to make sure, you know how important this was to me? I'm going to be on commentary for y'all. And so Roman is doing commentary while the Usos are healing the fuck out on the Mysterios. I'm talking like low blows, like true like heel dump, like
I wish we
really
would have actually got this. God damn it.
And then eventually they win the match. Post-match beatdown goes stupid, especially because it's like Rey Mysterio, so you can really toss him around. And then in the center of the ring, you get the iconic #1 shot of Roman with the Universal, Jimmy and Jay tag titles, all ones thrown up. Everyone acknowledges them.
That was fucking fun, sir. God damn it!
It was just
shit.
I just feel like they got to a point with the Roman thing where they were kind of feeding him competitors, and it was like, I wish you would focus more on that stuff, because I get you can't run back the Jimmy J, like the Roman J storyline, but like there's so much there, and I feel like that probably will happen at some point, that there will be like a match where one of them is a special guest referee, and I think putting them in that conflict of just like, no, like the acknowledge me thing is like it's not just like something I say to the fans. It's like, no, you need to acknowledge me.
Yeah.
And my opponents will acknowledge me. And I just like think that's such a good image.
It's also like, because you got to think about what he's telling you to acknowledge. It's like he's saying acknowledge like how I'm the most dominant superstar or wrestler or whatever, like, when it comes to outside the ring and inside the ring or whatever. So like, to prove that you're really dominant inside the ring, when you ask somebody to acknowledge you, another what should I say? Another phrase that people might recognize that sort of like follows that same sort of sentiment is like, say uncle.
Uncle, yep. As I say, yeah, that's exactly what I envisioned. Like he's his little cousin. Like you see, they some cousins, and they play in the background. He's like, say Uncle Jimmy. He's like, no, I ain't gonna say it. And he's like, it's like one of those moments, like a flashback where it's like, no, like I'm gonna make you say it because I'm not gonna stop.
Exactly. Name 5 cereals, nigga. The fuck.
But yeah, and like I'm glad you picked up on that tease, because I feel like it got to a point with Roman's opponents where it's like, this is cool, but we're doing Kevin Owens again. Like, ugh. And because Randy was hurt, we never got the Randy match. But I just feel like there are more opponents there if you had the eyes to see it, Hunter. If you expanded your vision, you could have, and maybe he will still. There's still time.
Oh yeah, I think this next round is gonna be dope.
Yeah,
especially
man.
Considering the people coming up.
Babyface Roman might break records, bro.
All right, well, that concludes our rewrite. Thank you guys for tuning in for that. Again, if you'd like to check this out on a regular, make sure you tuned in to the A Show. Make sure you tapped into the A Show Patreon, patreon.com/the A Show. We will move into our next segment that is called the pre-write. So for the pre-write, Shannon, what do you got for us?
Personally, I felt this in the force. Like I felt the disturbance before I saw the tweet. But for those of us in the loop, Charlotte Flair on the way home. Demon home. Demon coming home. And I know if I felt it, I know that women's locker room felt it.
Oh.
You know what time it is. I say all the time, Charlotte don't show up to lose. That's just not what happens.
I'm gonna be perfectly honest with you. After watching Raw on Wednesday, I was like, I mean, we gotta.
which is a matter of which one's coming off that belt first. It's not even a question of like if it's when. Who's coming? Who wants to give it up first? Because Charlotte's coming home, and I think her and Becky too, because Becky's been gone too. But like that'll be
Mhm.
such a shot in the arm because like all the matches we haven't seen, the Bianca Charlottes, the Tiffany Charlottes, the it's just the
The
Naomi
new night,
Charlottes.
the new Nia Jackson, Charlotte.
Oh, real heat. Talk about real heat. And also, I just think I like Charlotte Flair is like one of my favorite wrestlers. Like her moveset is so crazy. Like it's a lot of like male wrestlers who don't have the moveset Charlotte Flair has, and
Also
I
her
just
smoothness.
it's
Like,
elegant.
yeah,
That natural selection is so beautiful every time she hits it, and like a lot of people probably just can't hit that move,
oh
like that
no.
foot that consistently. And so yeah, it's just I'm happy, man. Charlotte's coming home. I'm happy to see what she gets into, especially with this new landscape where there's like the tag titles, and I mean she's been around for tag titles, but like
Yeah.
there's like Bianca and Jade as these prominent tag title figures. I feel like when Charlotte was around, it was like her and Becky were the prominent people, and then people were kind of orbiting around them in different ways. But like now having a such established Rhea, a such established Bianca, again, Tiffany's there. You got, I'm sure Roxanne will get called up at some point. They got everyone's favorite live. Like there's just a bunch of like different matches we could see that I'm like, okay, this will be a new playground for Charlotte.
Yeah. Speaking of that, so like where what what equipment do you think she goes to try out first? Like if we go into the corner where the tag team is, we go into the corner where it's like personal feud, we go into a championship where I mean we know she's usually got the championship in her sights, but
Yeah, that's coming. Yeah, that's by Mania they'll have that figured out. I
yeah,
could see if, especially if it's like a bigger show, like a Survivor Series or something. I could see her being involved as like oh, she's the fourth woman on this War Games team type of move. I could
I
see
can see
that being
that.
fun.
Yeah.
But I think she'll probably start off with like some younger person, like not a blood feud, but I think something to get her warmed up. She's been off
Oh, you
wrestling
know
for a
who?
minute.
You know who? Wait, oh no, she's on Blair's on SmackDown, isn't she?
Blair's no, she's on Raw with the tag champs. No,
Yeah. Okay. Yes.
Blair
Yeah.
Davenport. I think she's on Raw.
Or yeah, okay. I think she is on Raw. If she is on Raw, that would be a good warm up.
Mhm.
Also specifically because Blair can be like a little stiff
Yeah.
sometimes. So watching Charlotte get mad, like that's gonna get her back. You know what I mean? She
Mhm.
needs to get fired up like
Oh
that.
yeah, she one of them wrestlers who like need to get hit a little bit. That like you
Yeah.
could tell when she like gets bumped a little bit. She's like, all right, let's lock in. Like she
Yup.
like locks in,
Mm-hmm.
and she be ready to work. That's why I love Charlotte. Charlotte, when Charlotte clocks in, bro, it's not many better, bro. When she really gets to like going, when
I
that
might have to
natural, when that
watch
boot is
Rhea
hitting, bro,
Charlotte. I might have to watch Rhea Charlotte back. That was
feel
crazy.
something,
That
bro.
just made me think of that. So speaking of that, like speaking of that idea, I just wanted to say I'm an idea guy. I love people who are idea people, guys and gals, theys and thems, all alike. People who just have really creative ideas about how to take something that you see, and even if you see it over and over and the foundation remains the same, if the frame, the template remains the same, there's still different things that change about it that pique your interest, whether it be literally like grabbing your ear, grabbing your eyes, whatever it is. um and I just want to say, the production team at WWE right now is like an idea guy, like a group of idea guys. My favorite thing about them when I'm watching the shows is like I'm now anticipating seeing something cool happen in the show that I didn't think to like do in wrestling or haven't seen in wrestling. I'm getting to the point where it's just like, okay, when are they going to do the cool thing that I'm going to remember from this show? That's fucking that never when I got back into this shit in like this 17, 16, 17, it wasn't like that at all. It was like, all right, nigga, when the fuck is 11 o'clock coming? Damn, shit, are we at that main event yet? But now it's like I'm literally looking for different stuff. And what really sort of like sparked that thought for me was watching last night. And it also happened, I think, the week before. I think on maybe even like a SmackDown. But basically, when you have the commentators starting out on mics talking to us and the crowd that's there at the same time, so that everyone's really starting the show, the energy is a lot different. I don't know if you noticed, like last night on Raw, like the way that show started, that felt a lot more. early like late 90s, early 2000s type of like intensity at the start of a show to where you hear the music playing at the beginning of the show and fucking uh JR is literally yelling over the crowd because they're actually that loud. Like he's like, oh,
You're so right, bro. At 8 p.m., he is screaming at the top of
literally.
his lungs. It just started.
Yeah,
You're
now
so
tune
right.
in live 8 p.m. It's Oklahoma. Like, god damn, nigga, like shit. Inside Edition just went off, bro. Relax.
Yeah, why are they? But no, you're so right. Because like I would have like this similar action. I'm like, oh, that's new. So often,
Yeah,
and you never used to do that. It's and like not even like move stuff. You're just like, oh, that camera angle's new. They didn't do that before.
bruh.
Or like, there's so much stuff. It's so interesting how like, and I think this is out of necessity because they devalued the Titantron so much. They just do these
Yes.
little new things with the entrance where it's like, oh no, we're gonna have him talk when he walks through Gorilla because it's like that makes sense because it's like no, that's not something just Goldberg can do. We can show
Yeah.
anyone walking to the ring, or like we're gonna have you walk through the crowd or be in the concession. And there's just like so much ideas, like you're saying, about these new things because they're not like bound by these like really strict rules. It seems like where it's like no, every entrance has to fit this Titantron, so they all
Yeah.
have to kind of look similar, which I do love. But it's also like it frees you up when it's like no, we're gonna have this person come in from here and there and
Yeah.
look like this and that. And I there's just so many times, yeah, like I say, you'd be like, oh, I didn't even know that's what that looked like. Or like, oh, that's different. Even if I don't
Yeah.
like it, I'll just be like, okay, I see you were trying something here. It wasn't for me. That's how I even felt about like the little figures they did in the sky, like with the
Oh, the
bloodline and
AR and
Oscar.
shit.
Yeah, it's like,
Yeah.
yes, some of them look stupid and cheap. I don't disagree with you.
Yeah.
But I like the
Bro, the
idea.
Judgment Day shits, them
And
shits, I'm
some of them were
sorry.
cool. I'm
Them
sorry, the
shits are
race were cool, and I
crazy.
did like the bloodline tree because it showed you like, oh, it is all of them. Like
Yeah.
there
And I
is
like Ray's mask too. That one was fucking, I like that shit. Cause I just
there's
like Ray
yeah,
Mysterio though. So
exactly. And it's also you gotta think too, like, yeah, okay, maybe you at 33 don't like it, but a 13-year-old is probably into this shit. So like grow up.
oh, absolutely. And
Like
it's
it's for
normal
kids.
to them. This is what the fuck they see on
They
their
play video
screens all
games
the
all day.
time.
Yeah, it looks much so, but I just
We're
think it's just
we're
cool
the
if they were
old
like
we're the old pieces of shit who are still watching films. We
right.
watch films. Them niggas watch
Exactly.
clips.
Exactly. Like that's how I feel sometimes being like, no, I just wish they had music with lyrics in it. It's like, okay, bro, like you're screaming at the clouds. They're not gonna play fucking Limp Bizkit as an entrance anymore. They're not cutting that check. They're just not doing it, bro. Like,
Fred
make
Durst
peace
is
with it.
not walking through that tunnel.
Sorry, Motorhead's not cutting no more singles for y'all, bro. Motorhead had Hunter on lock. But once his 360 was done, they said, yeah, we're done. And that's so it's just gotta let stuff go. But I just like how they try stuff. Even the
Yeah.
belts, where it's like, we'll try these tag belts. Yep, get rid of
Yeah.
them. They didn't work.
Yeah, you can even see it. Like, I feel like they're even telling wrestlers to be even more creative with their outfits. Have you noticed that? Like,
Bro,
people
more
are trying
wrestlers
more.
wear their shirts, their merch to the match I've ever seen. I'm like, yes, this makes sense. A, because it's like this, you're selling it. Like this is a large commercial. That's what most of this is. But also
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, why are you in this match in trunks and he's wearing pants and a t-shirt? I would wear a t-shirt too. I would feel kind of naked. So I would also wear a t-shirt. Like it just gives them more personality and like different layers and kind of concepts. And like it also just makes just seem more real. Where it's like, yeah, I would wear a shirt too. Like, I don't know. Like it just seems simple, but it's like, yeah, you're right. It would be kind of weird to be out here half naked. I'd put on a
Yeah.
shirt too.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it. It's like it's top to bottom too. It happens in their vignettes. It happens with their backstage. Like, I don't know if you noticed the framing is like back to what I'm used to when I was like a kid. They made it really dramatic. There was like, okay, mankind is this weirdo who like, is just kind of like a social outcast and he has this like weird thing with like taking punishment. Okay, where are we gonna do his interview? Okay, go find something that either is or looks like a boiler room.
Yep.
And it's
Give me
like,
give me a steel cage. Give me a grate.
yeah. So when they first bring like the camera in, I'm like, what the fuck are we doing in a boiler room? And then you see this thing, and you're like, but it's like when you watch a horror movie and you're like, what the fuck are we doing in a basement? And then you see goddamn, Texas Chainsaw Massacre guy. You're like, okay, I know why we're here now. There's a crazy person down here.
Exactly.
So like I've been seeing that with the Terra Twins presentation. I really love the camera movement with them moving back and forth, where you feel like this is like a more of a little bit more of a fast paced kind of
Yep.
thing going on. I love what's the other one? The Bloodline one has really come along. Like that, the whole sitting down at the table, him thinking he a mob boss or whatever.
His
Oh
presentation
man.
is like Again, I'm not sure if he's carrying it, but his presentation has gotten so good where it's like
Yeah.
they really you see so clearly what they're trying to do with him. And it's like, yes, that like give me a clear character, give me a real story, give me a like
Also,
uniform or whatever the fuck.
shit in all right, first of all, we've been told y'all niggas lipo, okay? All right, you can either be on a good diet and or lipo. And where have y'all now? I sat back and I was quiet. I didn't say shit. I would laugh here and there or whatever because some of the jokes is funny. But I watched niggas for a couple years be like, oh man, Solo ain't never gonna get over for me. This nigga boring, blah blah. Which I'll say I ain't hear none of that shit recently because this nigga been cooking on the mic. This bro, he was like, Cody was like, you deserve a championship opportunity. Exactly. That's what I've been trying to tell him. You this,
Solo is like sneaky funny. And I
this
think
nigga's hilarious.
that's the shift they've made where at first he was just like, I'm mean, I don't talk, and I
Yeah,
don't wear shoes. Where it's like, no, this thing is funny. He's the little brother who has to like be funny to keep up with
bruh.
his older brothers and their cousins. Like
And we all know
it's
that nigga.
you
We all know
everyone
that
knows
nigga.
that little cousin who like puffs himself up to be bigger because they're
Mhm,
2 years younger than all of us. They're trying to pretend.
exactly.
And but so they're like funny like that though. Like they have to keep up. And that's exactly what he is. And you see it like now. Whereas before you again, he had no personality. That's my whole thing is like, I don't know what he's gonna do after this. So it's like, oh, okay, now I see what he can do. He's always gonna be kind of like Carlito-esque, whereas there's like a
Yeah.
humor to his heeldom. And I like that. You need that. Carlito was great.
Yo, you know him. I'm seeing this now. Like what Bobby and Brock probably should have had is what you're gonna, or like maybe even a Samoa Joe and what
Mm,
I would have like hoped to see out of
what a missed opportunity there.
like somebody else or whatever. But like you're gonna see that with Sola Sokoa and Braun Breaker. Those boys right there, them two, they gonna have one for the ages. Like a few, it's coming. Like think about it. Like you got to think about both of them. They're both like think that they can run. They both think that they're the person that's gonna put somebody out of business, or nobody can run through them, sort of thing. The tough guy, bad guy, blah blah. Who's gonna kill who in that sort of situation? Then, like you said, they're bringing in, like you said earlier, even bringing in a bunch of big guys. So you get Bronson Reign in the mix of that. You got Oba Femi in the mix of that. Now you have like a whole sort of rotating, sort of like big man sort of like rotation that you can have again, sort of similar to where you could see like an Albert and Test match randomly on a on a
Bro,
on Monday back in the
I'll give
day.
you one better, bro. Like we joke about it. Do you remember how fun Mark Henry was? Do you
Oh
remember how
my
fun the
gosh,
House of Pain was?
yes,
How fun, but
yes,
Big Show was really in his like I'm killing niggas bag. How fun that used to be.
it
Like
really was.
it's just a good time when there's a big guy who's like
Remember
just
the first time you
running
saw
through people.
Viscera fucking do like just drop himself on somebody? You was like, what the holy
This is
shit?
incredible. You're like, like this is what wrestling is. It's like, or like the first time you saw Kane, like you're like, wow, he's so big and he's like flipping
Why
over
is
the
he
ropes to get in
moving
the
this
ring.
fast? Yeah. What the fuck?
It's just fun. Yeah, and once we like have like so those feuds are just like that to me is such like pure wrestling. And I
Yeah.
think that's like type of stuff that like feeds people's like lizard brain. And I feel like obviously with Brock stuff, we don't have a Brock now. So there's just kind of a vacuum of like, I want to see someone massive do something crazy. Right now we have a bunch of good wrestlers and that's lit. But like sometimes, like we saw on Raw, sometimes you just want to see one guy jump off something and put another guy through the top of a car.
Yeah. That's
That's
it.
just what wrestling is sometimes.
I'm a
And it's
simple guy.
excellent. It's a simple guy. We and that's like again, and that documentary is coming out. So I'm not trying to give no kudos to Vince or something, but that's something they used to do a lot, bro. They're like, hey, what if we just like crash this ambulance? I don't
Listen,
know. Let's see.
you want to build something that people like? I'm gonna give you a secret right now. You know how everyone thinks to themselves like, oh, I have like dumb thoughts or whatever. Write those shit. Write the stupid shit that you laugh at. Just write it. That's you want to connect with everybody. Like think about it. Like or somebody hands you a random baby. You do something fucking silly. You and that baby disconnected. Same shit with regular adults, man. So if you have an idea whether you feel like it's stupid, have brain or whatever, this is your sign. I don't know why this just came out, but yeah, no, the
No,
stupid
sure,
shit
sure.
works, man. Stupid shit works.
Somebody like came to wrestling and
I
was
was
like,
waiting for you to finish that sentence, by the way. I was like, yo,
oh,
what the
somebody came to a WWE meeting, like a booking meeting, was like, what if we just let this white guy who like he had a cool little debut, But what if we give him jean shorts and we make him a rapper? Now we have John
Huh.
Cena, and now
Yeah.
we have the GOAT. And
See?
that was an idea. After that ruthless aggression promo, someone was like, "Yeah, that's cool,
And every time I go back and I look at it and I see him like rapping, especially when he makes his face serious, I'm like, yeah, this is still stupid, but hey, look where it ended, you
bro."
know?
He That's one thing. Yeah, before all the patriotism shit, he was rat king, bro.
It was pretty crazy. Nigga was
Like
like really in the booth.
cutting cutting singles as promos, like wearing like it was again a silly idea. Truly, you couldn't do something like that today. But again, that's how amazing John Cena is.
And to wrap it back up with my pre-write, that's what I love about the WWE today. They're
Yeah,
just trying silly shit here and there, and I love it because I love
you
silly
never
shit.
know.
And if you love silly shit, make sure you tap into the A Show. That's A Show. That's patreon.com/the A Show. Make sure you tap into the A Show with Mills and J5. Make sure you tap into the War Report. Um, I I recently just got into one of the episodes, and I feel like I feel like Cyrus is really holding on, man. Like he's trying. He's really, I'm gonna pray for him. Also make sure y'all send some good energy out and some prayers up for my brother. Ain't nothing wrong with him. He just needs some energy because he tired. Armand, that boy been working. Shout out to my man Shannon holding it down with me today. For the rest of the guys, I will say that is a close on our main show.